and this is the Age Group Multisport Podcast with me, Richard Conway. This is a platform for Age Group Multisport athletes to showcase their journeys. Welcome along to AMP, and thank you once again for taking your time out to give our podcast a listen and some support. Much appreciated, as always. Hope you're all well. We've got summertime at last. We're now nearly at the end of July. It's the 30th as we're recording this, and we've had a week of really hot weather at the moment, which is really nice to get out and be able to enjoy the weather, whether you're running, open water swimming or biking. It's just such a pleasure when you've got hot conditions. If you've been racing, I hope you've done well and you've got the results that you wanted, and if you haven't, I hope your training's going well. Speaking of racing, I actually took part in a race last weekend. I decided I would ease myself back into some form of racing, so I chose to do a off-road duathlon. And it was put on by Wild Deer Events, and it was over at Cannock Chase in Staffordshire. And it was a really, really good event, and it only cost me 36 quid. I did the sprint. There was also a standard, and running alongside the standard was a 10k, and running alongside the sprint was a 5k race. So something for everyone, really. And it was really, really well done. Pretty grassroots. But what more do you need? And to be fair, the course was quite tough. I don't know whether it was just because I'd not raced for some time or, but it was, I'd never done a cross anything before. So it was all new to me. Took my mountain bike over, stopped over the night before, and got up and went and did it and completed it without any incident or accident. It was a bit hairy on some of the downhills, but yeah, really enjoyed it. So I can really recommend that event. But also, if you have got the chance to go and try out a Wild Deer event, yeah, go and do it. Really good event. So the water quality issue has reared its ugly head for real now. All the athletes are over in Paris. They were supposed to be racing this morning. We're a Tuesday morning, Tuesday the 30th of July. The men were supposed to be racing, and it got cancelled because of the water quality. So they've put it back to Wednesday. I really can't see it going ahead. I hope I'm wrong. I hope by the time this comes out tomorrow, both races will have been completed and we'll have watched a really good spectacle. Fingers crossed, but don't hold your breath. So we wait upon that one. I've watched a bit of the Olympics. The time trial was pretty good, both men and women's road time trial. Josh Charlin was really unlucky, got a puncture and finished, just because he punctured really. So unlucky for him. And then also watched Tom Pidcock on the mountain bike racing, and it was just phenomenal. What a finish. If you haven't seen it, head over to YouTube or wherever you watch the Olympics, and I'm sure you can't not have seen it. He got a gold, and it was such a fantastic race. Again, he punctured with 5 laps to go, clawed himself back to the front after, again, must have been about 2.5 minutes that he lost, and one last gasp race into a corner. Saw him manage to come out on top. There was also the T100 that was taking part in London. Again, great event. The swim went ahead, unlike in Paris. And it's quite a stacked field. And the Frenchman stroke Brit Sam Laidlaw came out on top for the men. Ali Brownlee was racing, and I don't know what it is about Brits and punctures, but he got a puncture as well and managed to ride himself back to the pit, change his wheel, and he got off again, but lost again quite a lot of time. But he clawed his way back and finished 7th overall, so that was quite a good result. At least he finished a race and didn't come out injured, which he was quite satisfied with. So that was a good one to watch. And over on the ladies, Ashley Gentle from Australia dominated after Lucy Charles Barkley had led out on the swim and then on the bike, but unfortunately she had a DNF. Not sure what went on or what was wrong with. Nothing's come out about that yet, but yeah, sad to see. But one of the other Brits, Sophie Caldwell, who didn't get selected for the British team for the Olympics, was trying her hand at the longer distance at the T100. She'd had an invitation, and she had a really good race. I think she finished 6th or 7th, can't remember now, but yeah, really pleased for her, and hopefully that's the start of things to come. So yeah, good. So that was a really good race to watch. Right, over to our guest. On this episode, we speak to Nicola Dawson. And I met Nicola when we were over in Portugal, when Mrs. C was racing in the European Championships. And she'd gone over there with a former guest, Robert Myler. And Rob suggested that she would be a good guest to have on. So we set something up and we had a chat over Zoom, as you do. And this is the result. Really enjoyed Nick's story. Very determined lady, and yeah, it was a pleasure to chat. So hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you on the other side. Thank you for doing this, and welcome along to AMP. And if you'd just like to introduce yourself.
Hi there, yeah, I am Nick Dawson. I am based up in Mulgai, just to the north of Glasgow, up in Scotland. Mum of two kids, 11 and 15, work full time, part time coach at the same time as the real day job that pays the bills. The fun part is the coaching part. Yeah, and I have a crazy dog that also lives with me.
How did you get into sport growing up as a kid? What did you do mainly?
I've always been one of those sporty kids, just the ones that did a bit of everything. So I think growing up, before you could spend all your time on the phone because we didn't have mobile phones in those days, it makes me feel dead old. And I'm not, I'm only in the 40s. Um, that it was, just out on the bikes, playing with kit, your friends, just hanging around. My main sport, predominantly when I was younger, was tennis. I'd always played tennis, played kind of county level, so I was usually found cycling to the tennis club, playing tennis all day and cycling home. But then I also did like cross country through the school. Did like for me in Scotland higher P, so that's kind of like your A level P. Did judo, went to athletics club. Didn't really like athletics as much because I wanted to run distances, but they said I had to start with 100 meters first of all. And as you'll probably gather, that's not really my distance. I like to do ultras, so I was like, no, 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 I don't want to do that. That's too fast for me. So did give up on that. I do remember running my first, it was a school thing, a mile and a half race. I must have been about 13. I practiced running around the block at home. I think I've never been so exhausted in my life. I still remember to this day coming in and just putting my head under the tap. But I think that was me kind of going, actually, I like the distance. And then getting into, the schools cross countries, which for us up in Scotland is wearing this really short shorts and the really short vests. And in March, running on the coast in Scotland, getting battered by the sea and the sand dunes and everything and hardens you up. And I still do it to this day. So those were kind of the main activities, but I was just one of those kids. I was found at swimming pool, ice skating, anything. And then until kind of went to uni, it kind of changed at that point. I was still found, I went to Glasgow Uni in the Stevie building, which was the kind of the gym. That's where I was found most of the time. I kind of gave up on tennis because it was like competitively, you play at a kind of quite a high level and eventually you just get fed up. It's loses its fun. So I
Hmm.
decided at that point was not going to do tennis. But what I had got more into is the running side. So I ended up doing my first half marathon just before I started uni at 17.
Right.
A boy I liked was doing it. So I was like, well, if he's doing it, I'm going to go do it. Like again, I nearly died. It's a Glasgow half marathon. Training really didn't exist. But I was like, actually, I do enjoy my running. It's my escape. And then I got back into doing more judo up at uni as well. So those were kind of the two main activities. But I also started working as you do in the bars. And then I was like, I'm getting a job as a lifeguard. This looks like quite an easy number here. So I got my lifeguarding qualifications, did that best, anyone that's got children, best job ever. I loved it. I'm like, lifeguarded, watched people swimming, and then played with sports equipment in between it. And
just
then
go,
when I
just going back to your judo. standard did you get up to?
Oh, this is yeah. Well, I got up to well, I was going from a brown belt until I had a slight incident whereby I quite literally got squashed by a big person. So, at a grading, as you know, they'll weigh you in going by weight categories.
Hmm.
People over on screen won't know the size I am, but I'm not very big. 54 kilos. So they put me up against someone 20 kilos heavier than me. He quite literally squashed me. Got my arm trapped, did damaged all down my arms, my nerves, down the back of my neck, the ribs got it. I was like, I think that's enough. Still suffer today with bits of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Is
after I
that
got
because there was nobody of your weight category then that they did that?
yeah, they just seemed to go, "It's okay," even though they weighed us in, they still put me with a big person. I was like, "No,
No, I
I
don't. It
didn't." I
don't
held my
work.
own for most of it until unfortunately I got squashed.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? Really. But yeah. So you moved on.
Yeah, so I moved on, and luckily lifeguarding, one of the guys there, and the managers, he actually coached at a local tennis club, and he realised that actually I could play. He was like, "Why don't you come back?" I was like, "I'm not sure about this." But eventually he convinced me, he's like, "Come back, why don't you come and do a bit of coaching, come here with the kids, come get your qualifications." So doing that, I was actually like, "This is actually really good fun. I'm enjoying it now." I've decided let's step away from the competition so much and the
Mm.
level and coach the kids, get them into playing, have fun. Then of course, do you want to play in the ladies' teams? Okay, I'll play in the teams. Back into playing a teams, work my way up through the team level. But again, it was fun. It was the socializing, and that to me, that's a lot about the sport is actually socializing, getting on with that. Until unfortunately there was, I'll probably come on to it later. There's an accident which kind of has ended my tennis completely, but it's moved me into triathlon. But from that, still, I ended up doing. I ran London Marathon in hang on 2000 and 2000 no one. Yeah, it must have been 2001. No, 2000 it would have been. Try to work out when I finished uni. It was the first time I did it. Finished my uni exams, then got on a flight down to London and just ran a marathon. The pictures of me again, bright orange, did it for charity, but I was like, hey, I've done it. Old days when it was Flora London Marathon. I've got pictures of it and I still look so, so young. Well, I was at that stage. And then I redid it 2 years later in that'll be 2000, yeah, 2001, 2002. Yeah, a couple of years later, redid it anyway. Um, but that kind of had a slight impact. And after that, I thought I'd never run again because we all have these injuries. I'm like not someone who'll injure themselves just a little bit. If I injure myself, I'll do it properly.
Mm.
So yeah, I was like out training runs, marathons. Well, April's it must have been the end of the year out running. Before it, something just wasn't. It's just something's just not right. You're like, I've injured my foot. Something's just not right in this. Didn't really know what it was, but gave it a few weeks. I was like, something's still not right. And by this point, I'd finished university and I joined the police. And I was like, something's definitely right. I finished duty and I thought, I'll take myself to the hospital. Hopefully, going along in part uniform might help me get seen quicker and maybe get through. It didn't really work at all. But I was like, right. And they're like, no, it just seems soft tissue. Didn't even x ray it. Just rest it a few weeks, you'll be fine. I was like, okay. Off to the next. I was like, no, it's all not right. Off to the physio. Yep, you've definitely damaged something in there. Strap it up, take paracetamol, run on solid ground, nothing, none of that unevenness, and you'll be able to get back to run. You'll be okay to run. All right, okay. Ran the marathon, probably a really stupid thing. Finished it. Couldn't really walk to like when I finished it. I was like hobbling. I don't know how I even made the airport home, but got home, and I was like, right, I have to take a break from this. I eventually started getting back into running, and it got to the September. I remember I was out for a run from the house. Quite literally heard it and felt it snap. It was the fifth mate that had gone.
Ouch.
Didn't really think it was like something's not right here. So of course, martyr that I am, I was like, right, I hobbled my way to the nearest Asda with a free phone telephone for a taxi. Free phone telephone taxi home. And I managed to find some money. I phoned in, can someone give me a lift to the hospital? Went down there. X-rayed. Yep, you've broken your fifth mate. We're putting you in plaster, and I had to get a pair of those like paper trousers to get home from A&E because I'd gone off in tight trousers. But yeah, that's not a good look. Next day, off you go, fracture clinic. Yep, right, it's broken. Put your plaster. The usual. It'll get better. I'll be there. I'll be fine. 6 weeks later, it's not healed. Can you plaster a bit longer? That'll heal. It's not healing. Eventually, right, we're going to do an operation on this. What we'll do is we'll go in and we'll pin it and bone graft it. Great. So I've been off work for blooming months by this point, and I'm one of those frustrated people. Can't do that. Went to the gym with crutches to sit in a machine to do something to keep me going. So they went in and said, right, actually looked like it was starting to heal. So we didn't bother pinning it, we just bone grafted it. Okay. Eventually it got better. Like, right, you can go back to doing what you were doing before. Cool, brilliant. Started that. Then I was on the tennis court, just practicing my serve. I quite literally threw the ball up, tripped over my foot, put that foot forward. Something's not right again. I was like, no, it's like a year down the line. Now, the next day at home, because I'll hop on eventually, so I went, you need to go get that looked at. So I don't really want to. So I drove myself to the hospital, going, I think I know what it is. I don't want you to tell me what it is. I think I know what it is. X-rayed, and the consultant's like, you're right. You know exactly what it is. It's gone again.
Mm.
So I'm like, I'm back all the way to square one again, not looking to heal. And they were like, right, we'll just have to put you on a waiting list to get it pinned. They could take months and months and months. I feel like, no. So we paid to go private just to get it
Yeah.
pinned, because I'm like, I can't, this is a moral duty, it's affecting my career, it's affecting everything. What can I do? Because I can't go out on the beat, you can't do stuff because I can't really walk on one leg. So eventually got that done, and the guy's like, it's going to be fine, that's you, you'll be back to normal. You know, it's like 6 months later, I'm going, I can't run in it 10 minutes, it's too sore, it's just not happening. Can I have a second opinion? That took a bit of fighting, and eventually got my second opinion, and the guy's like, we'll take it back out, pin's not working. Operation number 3 to get the pin out. So 3 years, 3 operations, and eventually, like, that's the foot. They're like, but you won't be able to run properly again. And you've seen the website, you'll know that kind of sort of changes.
Yeah.
But yes, I was like, right, what am I going to do this? It's like, right, okay, I can probably go up to 10k. So I ended up getting up to like 10, 15k. But this was like the probably about 2003-ish, roughly 2004 must have been when I got the foot sorted. So that's all I can do. Back to playing tennis, go to the gym, go out my bike all the time because I like that, and I'll just keep going because that's it. But I can be quite good at those things, and that's all I did for a long time. And then I suppose that probably changed in the last, say, 6, 7 years, is when I decided to spice things up a bit and what I was doing. So what happened then? You're probably going, right, that's what you do. Child, child number one is one of those amazing swimmer. She's a fish. She's 15 now. But she started doing kind of more and more, obviously swim club level. She swims, Scottish events, which I'm off to tomorrow again with her. Starting to put me totally to shame. She's like, do triathlon. I'm like, all right, okay. And then she's like, Mummy, why don't you do them? Seriously? You're really having a laugh? Me do front crawl? Not sure about that, but okay. So I was like, right, okay, I can do this. I'm sure I can do this. First one I did an aquathon at the local club, which I started going to. Let's just say, lifeguarding, you don't need to breathe. You have to keep your eye on the casualty. At no point do you have to put your head in the water to breathe. So I can do front crawl, good, not breathing, keeping my head up, but trying to do anything more than like 25 meters, fast. Backstroke all day long. Aquathon in the pool. I know you're not supposed to. I backstroked it. I was last out of the pool. Yeah, last
Did
out of the pool.
nobody say anything to you?
No, they let me do it. They were like, it's all
Okay.
right, you can do it. I think they realised backstroke for a bit of this, a bit of breaststroke, a bit of everything. They're like, yeah, just let her do it.
Just do
Last
it.
out. But on the
Oh,
run, I was
cool.
like, okay. So then I was like, right, I'm going to have to go and get this sorted. So started it. I'm at Glasgow Tri Club, started with them in the swimming. And because I know what I need to do, it was the breathing was the issue. And we eventually kind of got that mastered. I'm like, right. And the next one, I wasn't last out the pool. I was like, this is a bonus. I'm not last. Out of that, managed to go, right, I can start looking a bit of triathlon because I can run and I can bike. And at the same instance, I was like, with this foot, I was like, right, seriously, I don't believe this 15k, 16k. I just think I can do more than this. So I spoke to my crazy mate. Do you think I could do this ultra that's run locally? Now, from where I'm based in Mulgai, the West Highland Way starts in Mulgai and ends up in Fort William. It's 95 miles. There's 3 races that form part of that. There's the Highland Fling, which is Mulgai to Tintrum, 53 miles. There's the Devil of the Highlands, which is Tintrum to Fort William, which is the other kind of 42, 43, and then there's the full race. And I see this race all the time, the fling especially, starting down here. And I know loads of people are doing it. Can I do that? We've got about 6, 7 months, possibly. See if you can get into it, because you've got to qualify for it. Let's see if I can use my marathon time from 2000 and something early on to get in. It seemed to work. So I managed to get into that, and that must have been in, I'm going to have to get, I can't remember the top of it, 2018. I was like, right, I'm going to do the fling. So mate trained, we're like, right, we'll go for a marathon being the qualifier, not a qualifier, but to get you there. Marathon, and then the next step is fling. So I went up and did a local one, Loch Catchin. So it's one of the ones lochs up here. Um, it was just after Beast from the East, so we mini Beast from the East. Made it. I ran the full thing with a woolly hat on. People laughed at me at the start. By the end, they all wanted my hat. Um, I managed to somehow smash it, and I came in third female. Husband managed to miss it. He was told the finish time because he was inside getting hot chocolate for the children. Did that, and then I did the Highland Fling. Now, if you see the picture of that looks like me as a ghost, I don't actually know what I think. I was like, I'm never doing that again. I'm never ever doing that again. On the drive home, I was sick twice. I blame his driving down the side of Loch Lomond. Oh my god! I was like, what? No, 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 never, ever, 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 ever. But I think we all know where never, ever, 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 ever ends up. Oh look, I signed up for some more. How did that happen? And at the same time, signing up for more triathlons and duathlons. Going, yeah, I'm getting into this, getting into it. It's quite good. But then unfortunately everything changed for me in 2000, was I'm thinking 2019, the year before lockdown. That's when I
Right.
tried to down. I had the Highland Flying coming up. I'm on a nice wee cycling to office, 2 weeks to go to the flying because I was going to redo it and I was going to smash that time. I've trained, all looking good. 400 metres from the office, cycling in, and I get taken out by a car.
How did the incident happen? What was
Car went to do a U-turn in front of me. I was not seeing, so I was, yeah. I basically went into the side of the car,
you were?
biking to, um, it was one of those, it was on the Monday. My first day back after the holidays, I had to phone my boss. They were going, I'm not making it in. Me being me, I just put my old somehow police hat went back in my head. So I immediately was like, right, move my bike over there. Car, told the car driver where to go. Look at you scene going, am I okay? Right, I'm alive. That's fine. Phoned myself an ambulance because I'm going, these wrists aren't feeling the best. Ambulance came, taken off to the hospital. They're going, right, in the ambulance, they're already talking about bilateral wrist fractures. And I'm like, I've got a race in 2 weeks. The wrists hopefully be fine. They'll be all right. By the Monday mid afternoon, they're like, your left wrist is broken. That's it. We'll refer to orthos. It's fine. I spent many a time in orthopedics at that hospital, so it's all good. Husband's like, what have you done this time? Then they didn't X-ray the other wrist. I'm like, it's not right. So I got the phone call the next day. We need to come in and see you orthos on the Tuesday. Can you come in? Okay, so come in. Because Dawson's like, really don't like the look at your left wrist. I want you to CT scanned on the Wednesday. We'll X-ray your other wrist. Oh, it's broken too. So on the Wednesday, the left one got CT scanned. By the Thursday, I was in, and both of them were operated on. By the Friday morning, I got a phone call from the medic from the Highland Fling going, you're not running that next week. I'm like, I've worked that out now. On the Monday, I thought I might have been able to do it, a wee splint on. Yeah, but the Friday, it was like, it's not happening. So yeah, I was then biking to wrists into going, right, what does this actually mean? Don't quite know. Did I say you don't realize how debilitating it is having actually hands that don't work. You can't actually put them in any clothes. You can't wash. You can open the door. Couldn't make a cup of tea. Try to get everyone to do anything to help me. For that, so the next kind of 6 weeks, I had to go back in for another operation because they'd had to wire my wrist, my left one as well, because ligaments had detached. To get ligaments taken, I had to take the wires to get taken out to see if that would hopefully hold it. Unfortunately, the bad news was it hadn't held it, and we're having to look at kind of what's the next options for that. In the meantime, though, I feel sorry for the poor consultant. Can I go to the gym? Can I go do my bike? Can I go for a run? What am I allowed to do? Can I do this yet? So after a few weeks, he's like, right, okay, you can go. I went to the gym. I'd walk to the gym with both. No, I'd get the train to the gym, which is just like about 500 meters from the station. I then go to the gym with my arms like and like this, like in plaster. For those that are just listening, can't see. Go on machines I could do. I sit there pedal away in a recumbent bike because husband wouldn't let me sit on an upright one. And then I would walk home, which is a good about 3.5K, 4K. But it gave me something to do
Yeah.
because I'm like, I need to do something, I need to do something. And eventually the consultant was like, yes, you can run. Do not fall over. Do not fall over. Slowly I managed to sneak my way into spin classes. Allegedly husband didn't know. Found out he did because he went and told him. Where I sit on a bike, again, hands in plastic, going, how do I get comfy? Can I put my hands down or can I put my hands up? Where do I put my hands? Just to try and do something for that. But eventually, right, getting back into it. The day of the accident was the last day I held a tennis racket.
Mm.
I've not been able to hold one since because it's my dominant hand. I've lost grip and I've lost flexibility.
And how does that affect riding a bike then?
Well, my bike had to be adjusted, so I ended up having a third operation to see if we could do anything to make the wrist better. Because just now it's just, again, if you're watching it, that's the difference.
Yeah.
You can see there's a major difference in the angles and the strength. So what they did, the bike shop were really good because I'm like, I can't afford Di2s. Ideally, they'd be amazing. But what they did is they switched my brakes so they're European with my rear on my right. Because I can still use my left hand, just not as well. And they put one of the old, like the little touring levers you can get used to get on bikes for the gears to
Hmm.
make them like big ring, little ring. They put that on my right hand side as well. So all gears are operated from my right hand side as well. So they did all those adjustments for me. Um, but I was like, right, that was all kind of mainly done. The first part of the operations were everything done pre-COVID. And I was like, right, that's it. I'm getting into everything now. I've signed up for this. I was like, including the full West Highland Way race of 95 miles on the year after, because I was like, then things don't stop me. They just make me go stronger and the next level. And then COVID hit. So all the races I'd watched vanish the year before off my chart of my operations, then I started going again. And it was just, like, am I ever going to get here with this? Am I ever going to get sorted? But that was like, no, I'm coming back and I'm coming back stronger for it. You've just got to adapt.
Mm.
And that's kind of what I've done to get me now to this stage.
Yeah. I guess what you'd been through and then COVID hit, I guess you were sort of like used to used to like being stuck and not doing anything. You've had plenty of practice, haven't you?
Yeah,
Uh,
it's just having to, I think it's very much that. It was just adapt. What can you
yeah,
do? Right, I can't
yeah,
do this. What can I do instead?
yeah.
Um, for me, COVID actually had a big blessing for me because I had hardly been back out on my bike. I got a new bike, but I hadn't been out on it. The roads were scary places, especially
Mm.
if you went into town where all the cars were.
Yeah.
But in COVID, people couldn't go anywhere. The roads
No.
were absolutely dead. So I really got my confidence back. Not going into town so much, that was still scary. I've now back to that. But I just went out in the back country roads and just cycled. And it really helped just getting the confidence back of being on the bike. So I think if you don't get over that, you're never going to get anywhere. I got out
Yeah.
with friends, they came out with me just to get that reassurance of just getting used to the bike, getting used to me being slightly different, what I can and what I can't do, and just adapting that way
Mm.
with it.
Yeah. I mean, getting hit by a car, I mean, the way you did, it's just you couldn't write it, could you? You know what I mean? And that obviously knocks your confidence, and it's no, through no fault of your own because it was like an idiot on the road who was careless basically, and you suffer the consequences, and that's cycling and cyclists all the time, isn't it? We're just so vulnerable, and that's I'm like you. I live right in town now. We used to live out in the countryside, which was brilliant because there was hardly any traffic, but now we live right in town, and I can't wait to get through town and then I'm out over the walls or out on the fens just where it's quiet, there's hardly any traffic, but I hate riding around where there's cars and stuff because people are idiots. They just are.
I think that's it. It's just I've got a bit more of just awareness now. I've already had awareness about cars, but I'm even more conscious because accidents do happen, whether or not it's the bike or it's the car. It's just trying to be cautious of what is where and your positioning. But yeah, getting out in the countryside, but again, you still get kind of some of the crazy maneuvers out there. But it's making sure both sides are behaving. You see all the time, or I do on our local feeds about the bike this, the car this. You're like, oh, just everyone just be nice and behave
Yeah,
and give each other room and
yeah.
respect each other when you're right there. That's it.
And I mean, 90% of people are fine, and
Yeah.
they do give you the room, and they've got no issues. But it's just that 10% who just,
And it knocks people's confidence if you do have something you come off or what it is. It's just trying to make sure people are building their confidence back up to go, actually, no, this was a one off. It's not the
yeah,
standard. It's not
exactly,
normal
yeah,
that you can
yeah.
do these
It's a
things.
one-off. COVID hit, and that stopped you.
Yeah, COVID hit, but I was still not right. This is still not gonna it's stopped me, but not stopping me. So I actually got a lot more running done. I got out in the hills exploring. And previously I'd done guided trail runs for a local group. I've been one of their guides, their run guides. And I was like, right, actually, just pre-COVID, forgot that part. Don't actually know how I forgot that part. Obviously I'd not been able to coach in tennis. And
Yeah.
I'd absolutely been gutted I couldn't coach anymore, but I love coaching. So I was like, what can I do? So I was like, "Do you know what? I'm going to requalify as a triathlon coach because I love running. I've always run and I love cycling and I can coach swimming. I'm maybe just not as good as I could be. So I
You
actually
don't
went and
need
did
to
that.
be though, do you? You don't need to
No,
be a good
you need
swimmer
to
to
know
be able
what you're
to.
doing. You
Oh,
don't need
yeah,
to be able to demonstrate
exactly.
it. So having a fish as a child, I've spent far too long at swimming pools to know the techniques of what I'm having to go through. Although I'm not teaching anyone butterfly, although she's very good at it. Um, don't know how she can do it, but yeah, she's quite good at that one.
Is that what she does, butterfly?
That's a good one,
Wow,
yes.
wow, that's
Very, very good
impressive.
at butterfly. I'm like,
Yeah,
"How can you go up and down in 30 seconds and fly, and I can't even do one length in 30
yeah,
seconds freestyle?"
incredible.
Yeah. So yeah, I re-qualified, now as a level 2 coach. Luckily did it pre-COVID. Sure it was pre-COVID I did it. Um, but that was good to get that part done, which means I can then get back into the club and start doing more of that. But as I say, yeah, COVID hit. So the trail running group that I was guiding for then, it was the right time. They kind of decided it's the right time for them just to stop doing it. But what I was getting was everyone that used to come running with me going, "You still doing those runs? You still doing those runs? We want to do those runs." Right, okay, what am I gonna have to do here? So I set up, my own page on Facebook under Epic Trails because you didn't know what COVID was going to do. Are we ever going to get back to running together? What are we going to do? So I set up at that point just to show that I'm a mum. I go out running. Here's local places where I've been running. This is where you could go running to, and just shared what I was doing. And quite a lot of followers that way. And then once we were able to, I actually started setting up guided runs, and I've now been doing that for must be three years now actually.
Do you just want to tell us the web page and a little bit about
Yeah, yes, it's
just
Epic Trails. Epic Trails running. Obviously you'll be able to put in the full web details. I'm found on Instagram under Epic Trails running underscore Nick. Facebook is Epic Trails, and it's really just sharing all the trails round about where I am, so people can go and see routes that I've done. They can also look at races that I've done and see the write ups that I'll put them up. Also, like as I say, I take guided runs every Thursday night. We do vary from 6, 8, 10K. And it's really the whole point of it is to get people out exploring the trails. And it's all year round. So it doesn't matter if it's snowing, if it's winter, the head torches are out,
mm,
especially times when people maybe don't feel confident going out in the dark with a head torch. They don't know where to go, or they don't. A lot of people don't have the confidence to go on the trails, thinking they'll get lost and
mm,
what could happen. So a lot of them, it gives them the reassurance. Some of them, I think, have been along with me for 3 years since the very start. I think just the company, it's a great group. It's not for speed, it's social, stop, start, chat. Gives them the confidence in your roots. Some of them probably still don't even know where they're running because they're too busy talking, but that's what they like. They like to come along because I'll just take them somewhere. Yeah. And even still, we can go out all winter and come spring, they're like going, "Is this where we've been running all winter?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, this is it." They're like, "Oh, right. Now I know what it looks like." So they're brilliant. And we started off just, I was the crazy leader that did all these ultra races. And now these all seem to have followed me into doing ultras. I'm like, don't blame me. I didn't encourage you. You just seem to have come on this crazy journey with me. So it's great. We're away. That's quite a few of us are away this weekend doing a race up in called the Larry Grew. It's a route up from Braemar to Aviemore. It's 44 kilometres on Sunday. So
mm.
it's just a QB community, and some of them are getting into triathlon and doing other things, and that was the whole part of it, was to do that. So is anything that we can give back that can be used in the community to help people and help people out again in the outdoors, really, is what
Yeah,
it's all about.
cool, cool. And very rewarding as well, I would imagine. So that's,
Oh, it's great to see them coming on and where they've
yeah,
developed, and now I've done my run coach qualifications as well as personal training. So again, I've now got individuals that I'm doing run programming for as well, and a lot of them are like me. When I started looking for a coach, especially when I did the West Highland Way race, and then went on to do Celtman solo, I was like, I want someone that understands me because I work full time. I've got two kids. Other work shifts, juggling life. I can't just do this and do it.
yeah,
Life changes. So I wanted a coach that could adapt with me.
yeah.
When I suddenly go, can't go out, no problem. Just do a turbo, just do this, just do that. And that's really the people that I've now got coaching. That's what they're after as well. It's someone
To be
understanding
fair,
life.
I think that's what everybody's after, and that's what everybody should be getting from a coach. Because when you're working, and I was listening, I can't remember which podcast it was, but I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and they said exactly the same. You should be coached by somebody who actually understands you, and they're actually coaching you as an individual. They're not giving you a generic plan or something off the internet. They need to know you personally, so that, like you've just said, your training plan can be adapted.
Yeah.
So that's so important.
Especially when I throw in, well, yeah, I can do it, but I'm also at a swimming competition for this many days, or I'm doing there. What can we fit in this hour here? Around kids' classes, around
Yeah,
the juggling that you do as a parent. It's so hard going, right, I've got a turbo. I can't go out the house, but I've got a turbo today. So, right, that's what the session's going to be. Or I can get a run, but only this amount of time. Or what have you got in the gym? Right, in the house, I've got these weights. Right, do this. It really does help.
yeah, 100%. So how did the triathlon progress then?
Well, I started doing a few more aquathons. I managed to actually, even from not being first out the pool, because I'm a runner, that's what I quite like about it. I can cycle quite well and I can really run. So
Yeah.
I might be kind of near the back in the swim, but I can start picking people off as I run.
Mhm.
So my two challenges were I want to do the West Highland Way race, and then the next year I wanted to do Celtman solo because lots of people in the club had it, and why do something normal like a fireman when I can do something more extreme and do Celtman?
And just
Uh,
explain what the Celtman is to people who don't know.
So Celtman solo, it's or Celtman and Celtman solo, basically Ironman, half Ironman, but it's slightly more challenging conditions. So you're swimming in the sea just off Shieldrake, northwest of Scotland. As you say, water temperature is quite chilly with lots of jellyfish. The bike ride again big, but for the half Celtman, it's actually more elevation than the full because you got the Bealach na Ba, which is it winds its way up. At one point, I must have done about half an hour going at 4 kilometers an hour. The climb is ridiculous. Then the run, full Celtman, you're taking a couple of Monroes. The half, you're still elevation, probably about 600 meters elevation for trail running. So it's proper. It's harder, and
Mhm.
then that feeds into those that might have heard of Norseman. It's part
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
same
yeah,
brand, Celtman
yeah.
and Norseman. So for me, it was just over 8.5 hours doing that. The best thing, my only thing I had to do was not drown in the swim. My friend always dragged me up. She was like in the lead up to Celtman, going up to the local loch for swimming. She's like, "You're coming. I'm not coming. You're coming. I'm not coming. You're coming. All right, I'm coming. You're doing 2 laps. No, I'm only doing one. You're doing 2 laps. All right, I'm doing 2 laps." And she made me go up and swim. Um, and the main thing was I wasn't last out the water. The guys were brilliant because I struggle with my hands. Um, they let Emily come and support, like help me in transition to try and help me get weights off because my
Mhm.
hands just wouldn't work.
Yeah, yeah.
And the first thing she said as I came out the sea was, "You weren't last, mummy." It's like, thanks, child. Yes, I was not last out that water. But then I counted for me. No one took me on the bike. No one took me on the run. I just picked off. I think I moved up like 50 places. But my whole thing was not to be last out the water and finish it, which I did. That was to me, that was a big thing. But through that, I was like, no, my other one was, I'm going to do an age group. I'm going to get to be an age grouper.
And how did
So
you find out about age group?
I'd see people in like this club doing it, and I was like, that seems pretty cool. They like, it must be really hardcore. How would you get to do that? And our club did a session on how to become an age grouper. So some of the people that have done it came up and spoke, going, it's actually not that complicated. What you need to do is look at these events. This is how you enter it. This is what you do. You're like, actually, that could be achievable. So I kind of started looking at it, still seemed a bit complicated, but I think I eventually worked out what I had to do, the events I had to enter. I do have to say, being up in Scotland is much harder.
Yeah, 100%.
Qualification, especially for to me, I was like, I'm not trying triathlon. That's just not happening with that swimming. But duathlon, um, there's no events up here. For anything up here, you've got to travel. The so for the first qualified for Bilbao's a sprint. Didn't look to qualify last year because I didn't actually pay any attention to it. By the time I realised how much I enjoyed Bilbao, I was too late for to get anything for last year. So that's why I made sure I qualified for this year for Coimbra. But it was Northumberland, so that's the closest. So a 3 hour drive, and I'm from central Scotland. So if you
Yeah, yeah,
imagine living in Aberdeen or something,
yeah.
another
I
three,
know.
4 hours.
I mean, I had Ross and Rob on, and
Yeah,
I just after they were telling me about what the traveling that they have to do, and it's just like that's hardcore. That to put themselves in that position where they're traveling all over the country for hours and trying to qualify. It's like, yeah,
yeah. I was looking at the next one for me to do. I think Thruxton, and then for I wanted to do Europeans or Worlds, and then the other one was Devon. I'm like, I am not driving to Devon.
uh,
I'm like, it's just that it's a full day just to get there of driving to then drive back. As much as I'd like to, it's just too far. So it does prove slightly difficult for it.
yeah, yeah.
But I decided, I was like, right, I'm going to do it. I know what I need to do. Um, and especially, Bilbao was like different because that was just post COVID of how you got into them. But I was like, no, I want to go like this year. So like Northumberland went down, did that, and in the age group, I actually finished sixth, and I was the top four of the automatic qualifiers. I was like, well, hopefully I'll get it on roll down. And the way it works, I don't know what it is with my age category. It is the hardest age category, and I'm not just
Everybody,
saying that.
no.
Actually, when you look at it's the same as ultra running. When you look at how you place, I'd actually have qualified better being younger.
Yeah.
I think it must be all of us that we did sport as younger. We then had children, and now we're back at it, but we've hit it back hard. And you're finding that people in my age category are placing overall. So it is a struggle to get in, but luckily I did get my place through roll down
And
for Coimbra.
how many were in your age group then trying to get places? How many had put the money in?
Oh, it's quite a lot, I remember. Actually, I can't remember exact, but for it actually to qualify, there was quite a lot in it. So, because initially it was the 10-year brackets. I think I think I was eighth overall in the 10-year age bracket. And then when they put it down to my age bracket, so down to the 5-year, I was sitting sixth. So I'm like, oh, but there's a lot more than that that obviously tried to qualify.
Yeah,
It's like, really?
yeah, and
Really?
then you've got people coming up in age group, and people moving up in age group, and you've got to make sure you've got the percentage for the winner of your race, and yeah, it's quite it's quite a skill and art to try and qualify. I don't think it's unless you're very very good and you know that you're going to get a queue. Um, I think
Well, again, I
it's
thought this year I went to the qualifier. We had one in Scotland for next year for the European sprints.
yeah, we were going
And
to go up to that actually, but I got injured and Kate was ill, so we never made it.
it's a racetrack, so you just go round and round and round. And this year was better than last year because last year the wind was so bad. There's like 18 kilometres up one side, 45 on the other side with the tailwind, headwind. And I thought, I think I've done quite well. Have I done enough to qualify? And it turns out I was fifth in age with 104%.
Good
So
stuff.
I'm like, I think I should get I should get it through the roll downs, but I'm going 104%. That is pretty tight on the winter, but it, it's just good field and the
Yeah,
age.
yeah, yeah.
It is hard.
I think every age group's got they've usually got five, six that are really, really good. Just and a lot better than everybody else. The brilliant runners, brilliant bikers, and especially in duathlon, and then same in triathlon. The swimming is just yeah. There's always in every age group I've found that whoever you speak to, there's always somebody that's just far better than everybody else, and it's just they've just got the ability, or some of them have been really, really good runners all their lives, and they've come into duathlon, and they're pretty good on the bike as well because they've got a good VO2 max.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, right now, right, what can I do? I can't afford a super duper bike, right? I can't do it. I just can't do it. I've not had that midlife crisis yet to be able to afford it. So I was like, right, I'll get a helmet. Right, I'll get my friend lent me aerial wheels because we've got the same bike. Right, that's it just now. So like getting faster. I was like, well, what am I going to do now? I was a bit stupid last week. The environment going, we're going, right, I need to get this bike faster. Even though my bike speed was actually really quite good for me. Um, and I finished seventh overall there. But I was like, right, the local cycling club's doing an APR. I tried one of them before, quite liked it. So like, right, last Wednesday they were doing an APR. I'm going to go along and try this. Oh my goodness, I don't actually know what happened. It's still like, I think I need to block it out of my mind. I turned up, I was the only girl. This doesn't bother me, which some people it can. Does not bother me at all. All these guys are like, right, 3 groups, fine, do that. They set off, and obviously they were just turning right, or they're just taking their turns. And I was like, I've never pedaled so hard in my life. Try to keep up with them. My legs are still delayed from Coimbra. I'm still now obviously realizing I wasn't probably well. I was just, I finished it. I was like, what happened there? And I did it the same speed as I did the race at. I was
Yeah.
like, and in Scotland with hills, I was like, yeah, okay, I need to work on this. But that's my next one. Like, right, I can gain speed on the bike. Not a huge amount, but 3 4 minutes is probably
Yeah.
all I need.
Yeah. The thing is, going out in a chain gang like that,
Yeah,
time trialing, if you can find a local time trial, those are the things that are going to get you, as well as the hit sessions on Zwift or the Turbo, whatever you use. Those are the things that are going to get you quicker. But definitely going out with a group that are faster than you and bringing you on. Doesn't matter if you get dropped. You know what I mean? That's the only way you get faster is by going out with the faster people.
I
So
do say the guys were brand new. Because I was working with them and occasionally they could tell on the uphills, and I feel like they actually cycled up behind me and gave me a wee push. I'm like, how can you push me going up this hill when I'm pedaling my little legs off here?
yeah,
But they did. I was like, I'll take it. I'll take
yeah,
the
it's
push.
all about levels, isn't it? At the end of the day, like
Like,
just is.
yeah.
Yeah.
But as I say, they were really welcoming. As if anyone's not just going along and actually is finding the local guys. I didn't go out with them this week because I'm not well. But I'm like, no, I'll definitely get back out because it's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
way you getting out with a group. It's the same running, getting out with groups, people that are faster than you. You can do so much on a treadmill or on Zwift, but actually getting out and keeping up with
I
them.
think those things have got the place in training, but you need a mix, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah, cool, good. So that was you qualified for Canberra, and we've just come back. Mrs. C was racing over there as well, and that's where we met. It's
yep.
unusual to have met somebody face to face before we've had a Zoom call, to be honest. So this is quite unique. How did your race go? Because obviously we left on the Sunday morning early, I think. So we never got to see your race.
I think it was good. I was a bit worried about the heat because obviously being up in Scotland, didn't have a chance to acclimatise. I'd hoped I maybe would have. Now I was doing, I'm a hill, obviously I do a lot of hill races and fell races. I was racing the week before in Scotland on a hill. We actually had to change the course because the wind chill was -7 at the top of the hill with snow. So racing that and going, right, and I'm going to Portugal. How's this going to be heat wise? So it wasn't too bad. It wasn't like as ideal for me, like not like 10 degrees. But it was okay. The course for me, the run was good. It was pretty flat. I suffered in the first, obviously I was doing standards, so the 10K, first five was good. My legs were slowing down in the second part of that one. I could feel I wasn't happy with it, but I just knew get onto the bike, get the fuel into me because my fuel was sitting on my bike. I like foam bars. As soon as I got on that, straight into me and onto the bike. The bike course I thought was okay. There were a couple of tricky bits, and I know some people that really went wrong with the markings. There was one part where I cycled up and to I think it was a police officer, which way, because they've been letting the cars go across. So there's a gap in the cones, and I couldn't work out if I was streak on or if I was through the way the cars were going. Got that through that one, and then there was a final bit you might have heard about it on the lap near the end, where you either went left to do lap two or you went straight on to head into transition. Um, on the first one, I had to kind of shout the person which way because she was standing there just kind of randomly pointing, not really saying much. And luckily, I took the left, and I ended up shouting again in the way back, coming into transition, which way. But unfortunately, for some people, I do know they get sent into transition on lap one and sent up for lap three when they should have gone into transition. which really it was just very unfortunate and just not fair for them. But unfortunately, just the way that one there particular was. For me, no issues. I had heard a bit about the length of the transition in the carpet when you come in on the bike. I had done probably what you shouldn't do in Billabong, which first of all, where I learned actually this works for me was I struggle some running on my shoes. So I don't never do this in a race, but it worked for me. Was I worked out that I could actually just take my feet out my shoes, leave the shoes attached. I did it in the race in Bilbao and it worked. I was like, hey, this works. So for Gobra, it worked brilliantly because it was carpeted, feet out, and I had a good, I must have felt like 100 meters. It was a long transition
Yeah,
to get
it
the
was a
bike
long
in.
transition. And that actually, I was stood there watching, waiting for Kate to come in at that dismount line, and it was carnage. People were just like, because it was on those little cobbles,
Yeah,
and the blue carpet was moving all over the place. So if people had the shoes on, they were slipping because
yeah.
the mat was moving. So I think taking your shoes off was on your bike was the best. So because at least in your bare feet you've got solid ground, haven't you? Whereas they
Yeah.
were slipping all over. So yeah, but yeah, transition was like mega long, wasn't it?
It was so long. Like you're running into it, even the run, you're running in going, where is this bike of mine? It's somewhere up the far end. So no, I think that definitely worked, just taking my feet out my shoes. And so I went in at the same time as someone else and I left her miles behind because she
Yeah,
was faffing around with the
yeah.
shoes. Straight in, quick transition, and then back out again. I do have an issue with my helmet. I need to work out how to deal with my helmet clasp because my hands that I'm really starting to struggle now clipping it and unclipping it. So I need to look at how because I'm losing time trying to go, I can't unclip it or I can't clip it.
Have you looked at magnetic ones?
I'm going to have to look at that, just changing the clip on it to see what I can do. And it's these little things for me that I'm going, it's not the big things, it's these silly little things going, oh, I can't do that now. I'll have to adapt that part. Um, But once that onto the run, it was fine. The only thing I got new shoes and the shoes were fine to run in, but I think at least I'm a bit tight, so I ended up getting like a a hot bit in your foot. So I was running with that, but it just kept going until the end. I was like, thank goodness to see that finish. But great experience. I did as good as I could do. Wasn't obviously wasn't last. That's always my aim. I knew I was never going to win it, but I looked at when I looked at some of the field, they were amazing. But it was a great experience, really, just to go out and do it.
Yeah, good, good. And you enjoyed the whole experience.
Definitely, and I think both times I've been out, I've been myself. Billabong, I didn't have a clue when I went there. I was like, "What is all this?" Went with Nirvana, and I met people who are at different clubs who hopefully will be listening to this that were amazing. They just took this random Scottish person under their wing and out for dinner with them, made friends with people, met them again at Coimbra. Lovely to see them. This time, you've always talked about Ross and Rob.
Mm.
The three of us, I'd never met the guys before, but just by chance on the Facebook chat, got chatting to Ross, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm flying from Glasgow too. Brilliant. Can we share a lift? Because I can't work out how to get to the airport there to where we're staying." And then he got Rob into the mix of the chat. Unfortunately, Ross ended up not being able to make it, but
Yeah,
Rob and I ended up like kind of teaming up. So Rob got the hire car. He drove to my house, left his van here. I drove us to the airport with the bikes. He then got the hire car and dealt with that over there. I'm like, I'm not driving on the wrong side of the road. Um, so it was really good just having that other person there coming from the same place and the same flights. And then he knew other people, I knew other people, got introduced, and then yeah, 2 nights in a row out with random different people that we can be met that Rob knew, and yeah, you just get to meet all these new people. It's a
yeah,
great experience, and
yeah.
still chatting to them after again, following each other on Facebook, see what everyone's doing. They come up to events. It is quite a close knit kind of community.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It is, even there now as a spectator watching, it was meeting meeting guys that have been on the podcast and meeting people I've raced with, and you know, meeting new people as well that I try to get on the podcast. And it's just such a, and that was such a good place to have it. Portugal was such a, I mean, I think it's been one of the better, apart from what you said about transition, I think it's one of the better organised races that we've been to, because they've done it like they do it quite a lot. They put on events like that there quite a lot, and it was such a beautiful town as well, wasn't it?
Oh, it was lovely. Because I love exploring. So yeah, after the race, I went back, got changed, and then I went and managed to do an extra like 10,000 steps because I went exploring. because it's quite a steep city, and I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
love exploring. So yeah, I went out and about, and all these random pictures of places. There's no point being somewhere if you don't go and look at
Oh
it.
no, you've got to take it all in, haven't you? As much as you can with, the time and stuff that you've got. So that's cool. Well, that's a great story. Have you got anything else that you'd like to add? I mean, I've got a couple of questions that I'll get on to. I've got some quick fire questions to go through, and then we'll let you go.
Yeah, I think for us the aim is you go back next year, but my eldest, the swimmer fish thing, she wants to come too. So she's actually looking to how she can qualify for that aquathon. And she'll be 16 by then. We're sometimes are there. We just need to get her a bike run time now. So we're like actually just do it as a family, which is actually quite nice. The
That'd
whole
be really,
family can
really
go out.
cool. Yeah. I've had couple of weeks before we went away, I had a dad and a son on the podcast, Callum and Callum Smith and his dad, and they were on separate episodes, and they both qualified up at Sunderland for this year, and they're qualifying again. And it's so nice to see a father and son going to races and racing together and qualifying. It's like it's quite special, I think. So yeah, I think that'll be really cool for you.
Yeah, so we're hoping that's the plan for next year.
Yeah,
If we can get her through qualified on the running part, just need to get her a time for that, and then yeah, the same events.
well, she'll have the lungs anyway, being a swimmer, you would imagine. So
Oh yeah, she has that definitely.
yeah, cool. Right, so we'll move on to the quick fire questions. And the first one is what's your favorite bit of kit?
For me, actually, or a buff. Are you allowed to call it a buff? A neck tube.
Buff, yeah, buff, neck tube,
I
yeah.
never realised that. Yeah, it's my one thing. No matter where I go with one around my neck, keeping my ears warm, keeping my nose warm, round my wrist. It's usually used as a tissue at the same
Yeah,
time. To
yeah,
me, buff is the best thing ever.
they
It's got
are
so
so
many
good
different
actually.
uses.
Now you've said it, yeah, they are so adaptable, aren't they?
Oh, that's it. Yeah, it's not nothing expensive, but it's the one thing that I'm like, if I go out without it, I'm like, oh, I've forgotten my buff.
I've never had that on before, so that's a first. So thanks for that. Do you train with music at all?
Depends what I'm doing. Yeah, sometimes I like my music, sometimes I like my proper dance music, or quite often if it's long runs, I like podcasts. I like to listen to things and have a wee chat with someone in my head.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Usually not silence. There is something there, whether or not it's music or podcasts.
And what's your go-to tune then, if you're out running?
I
The
like
song that you
my
always
dance
put on.
tunes. I don't like when it very much depends on the mood, but I do like if you're up here, you probably get if I said GBX or George Bay Experience music, but it's old school sort of techno music, like Scooter, things like that. People are like, oh no, not that stuff. But yeah, I do like my dance tunes.
Cool, cool. And what resources do you use for your training and racing?
Usually predominantly I do like a bit of Strava just for recording. I was the worst. I was. I'm never doing Strava. I'm going to hunt down segments. Then people started when I started doing guided runs. Can you share your route? Okay, I'll start on Strava. Now I'm a bagger of segments. It's got to be done. Just for recording. I use Zwift in the bike. Currently looking at different platforms to see if anything else is out there. But that's kind of the main things. I'm not a tech person. I try to keep it pretty basic, and it seems to work.
Yeah, they're pretty good bits of resources, though, aren't they? I mean, Swift's fantastic, especially in the winter. It's got so much on it. I know it's gone up in price, but I think it's still worth the money, to be fair. Um, Considering it hasn't been, well, they haven't had a price increase for 7 years, so I think it's fair play. I know some people have come away from it because they weren't happy, but I think it's invaluable myself. But there are other formats out there, aren't there? So you can pick and choose and
Oh,
uh,
there's loads. It seems to be asked because I asked that question when Zwift increased on the Tri Club page. What is there? And people are
yeah,
coming back with a whole load of
yeah,
different
yeah,
things. I was like, oh, there's lots of different options out there just to look at.
yeah, absolutely. Uh, and then finally, what is your short and your long-term goals?
Oh, I think long term is actually more a bit. I'd like to do the full Celtman. I just don't know if my swimming's up to it. Not so much my swimming, but swimming hurts my arm and my
Yeah.
wrist. So I don't actually know if I could do the distance, like a full Ironman swim distance, just simply because I don't know how much pain it'll be on my arm. As much as I'd like to do it, I'd like to try that. Running wise, I would like to do Cape Wrath Ultra. So it's one of the multi-day sports, a bit like Dragon's Back for those down south. It's
Oh, yeah.
based up in the Scottish Highlands, or 400 kilometres, 8 days. So if I can sweet talk husband to let me escape for 8 days, that's ideally quite like to go and do that next year
Oh,
as well.
nice one.
I really don't feel any short ones. I've just lots of little things I'd like to try and do a bit more, try do a wee more across. I want to try and get more onto the bike and a few more challenges. Like for me, personal challenges like doing the APR with the club, going out another time with the club, doing an actual maybe a real cycle race
Hmm.
just to try and push myself.
Yeah, cool. Well, good luck with it all. I'm sure you'll succeed in whatever you do because you've got that drive and determination from speaking to you. And it's been lovely to chat and meet up again.
Oh
And
yeah,
thank you,
definitely.
thank you once again for coming on the podcast.
Anytime, no problems. Thanks.
There you go. That was Nicola Dawson. Thanks, Nick, for sharing. You definitely will have inspired people to give things a go, especially what you've gone through with the accident and not taking no for an answer and being determined and getting back to what you love doing. Really inspiring. So thank you once again for coming on and sharing that. And you can follow Nick on Instagram at epictrailrunning_Nick. And her own website page is over at epictrailsrunning.co.uk. So check her out. Well, that's about it for this episode. Thank you once again for listening. And if you would like to get in touch or even come on, as we are always looking for guests, drop us an email at agegroupmultisportpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Instagram at amp_1967 and you can DM us there. We're on Facebook at ampgb and Twitter, which is now X, at Age Group Multisport Podcast. And we have a YouTube channel which has got all the podcasts on there and some random videos of me training or sharing thoughts, and also some other age group athletes that have sent videos in for us to put up. So go and check that out, and that's on YouTube and it's AmpGB. So please do share this podcast with your friends, your training buddies, and let people know what we're all about. Would be much appreciated. So until next time, stay safe, keep training, and love the process.